We are here for a live podcast with a very special guest tonight. We have Dawna Campbell joining us, the author of Financially Fit. And it is just a pleasure, Dawna, to have you with me. Let's go ahead and bring you in. Yes, there we are.
Yay, technology works.
Y'all, Dawna is wonderful. Her and I, we just got together this past year in 2021, and met and just hit it off. We are like-minded, like-souled, and we just have a heart for what we are doing in this world and impacting people's lives. So it is such a pleasure to have her with us. And I just want to read a little bit about her before we get going so y'all understand who Dawna is. She is the #1 international bestseller of Financially Fit. It's living the secrets to an abundant and prosperous life. She has been a financial advisor and managing principal of an investment firm, so she knows a lot about money. She now mentors and empowers heart-centered business owners and entrepreneurs like you to step into your power to gain infinite prosperity. With over 25 years experience, she has shared the stage with notables such as Lisa Nichols, Sharon Lechter, and Mark Victor Hansen. She has been featured on Fox News, NBC, the Los Angeles Tribune, Yahoo News, and Roku TV. Wow. She is here today to share with you the subconscious creating instantaneous results for you to step into your power and gain infinite happiness and prosperity. The spotlight. Okay, awesome. I will start sharing instructions. Dawna, welcome. So happy you are here.
And yes. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I feel honored and blessed with all of this. And I'm so happy we got to meet and connect. And now we get to do fun things like this together.
Do fun stuff like this. Yes, yes. And you know, this is such perfect timing because there's several here from my Armor Up Life group, which that is the group that it's like a mastermind and we meet every week. And so that they can stay in tune to armoring up, right, for their day, for their life. And one of our projects this past fall was the Prosperity Project. And we could focus on creating more prosperity in our lives. So it's really fun that you are here to kick off our year. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Is there something in your mind right now, in your heart actually, that you would love to share?
Oh my goodness, where to start? No.
Was there something on your heart that you wanted to start with before we dive in?
You know, the one piece that always comes to me anytime I'm ever asked this question was a mantra that I wrote for myself, 12, 15 years ago. And it's what I follow to this day. And it is trust and you will see, believe and you will know, have faith, all is well, follow your heart and spirit will lead you. And I wrote it because I went through such difficult times over a 3 to 4 year period where my life went upside down between the financial world into the world that I'm in now. And that mantra got me through some really hard times. And so I share it openly. It's in Financially Fit and I repeat it often.
I bet. It's a beautiful one. It's a beautiful one. Would you say it one more time for all of us?
Yes, I will. Trust and you will see, believe and you will know, have faith, all is well, follow your heart and spirit will lead you. So it's all about following what's in your heart space. And you will always, always receive that divine guidance.
Yeah. So was there a moment in your life that happened when you realized you were not following your heart? And you found yourself in the muck of it, as we say in Armor Up here in Texas, we say, you know, in the muck of it, right? So do you
what happened? Yeah, absolutely. I was at the financial services firm. I was responsible for $500 million of other people's money. And the amount of stress, worry, and pressure, it broke down my health. And I wasn't able to digest food for 2 years. Now, I didn't know I couldn't digest food because Western medicine wasn't able to uncover that. And it wasn't until I turned to natural healing and found a practitioner where I discovered that. And she told me, whatever it is, you're not digesting on the inside. There's something in your outside life that you couldn't digest. It'll just surface. It'll come to light. It'll be made known to you. And what was made known to me was my marriage, which was very challenging and toxic. I learned about his unfaithfulness. And that was when I knew I wasn't following what was in my heart to be who I was, because my spiritual gifts were coming back through that I had as a child, and it didn't agree with his belief system and his paradigm. And he thought cheating was okay. And so I made some huge changes in my life. And it was after that, when I was going through that process, being a single parent of 2 children, that I was left financially devastated, following all the money rules. I knew that there was something more. And it was during that whole time period before I moved out of state to find me, discover me in this new pathway, that mantra came. And actually, I only had the first 3 lines: trust and you will see, believe and you will know, have faith, all is well. And I would say that over and over and over, because I knew, even though it was hard, even though it was tough, I was going to make it through. And then it was later, about a year later, it was follow your heart and spirit will lead you, because I had other moments where I wasn't following my intuition and what was in my heart space. But you bet today I do every single moment, because I learned that lesson.
Not a fun lesson to learn, huh?
It took me a few years.
It does. It does that. That is how we learn the best, though, isn't it? That we find ourselves in it again and we relearn and we relearn and we relearn.
Yes.
Every time we get it down. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, share with us what made you want to write the book Financially Fit, and how did that inspiration come about for you?
Well, when I left part of my life, I was in a different relationship. This was years later. That person became physically abusive. Again, I wasn't following what was in my heart space. So then when I did, I entered the world of healing, because I was meeting people like medicine women and Buddhist monks and yoga healers and all kinds of things of how to use your mind to shift and change mental patterns to create the life that you really want on purpose. And so I had been in the healing industry for about 10 years. And all at once, all my clients internationally, it didn't matter what country, I learned that if you shifted and changed certain vibrational frequencies, meaning emotion and feeling, then their money supply also increased. And it didn't matter what topic we were talking about. It could have been health. It could have been a relationship. But then I'm like, wait, but your money side started changing, but we didn't talk about that. So I started looking at all of those things a little bit deeper and realized that clients were saying things like, I want to know that I'm worthy and that I'm enough and that I'm appreciated. And then one day the light bulb went off and went, those are the same words we use in financial services. Here's your portfolio value, your assets appreciated, your net worth is. Oh, do you have enough money to fund XYZ goal? And if you didn't feel like you're enough on the inside, chances are you didn't have enough on the outside. And so the words were the same words. And if you felt a lack energy inside financially, there was a lack energy. But if you were whole and plentiful and complete, and we're talking about a deep subconscious level, not just our conscious thinking, then you had plenty of money. So I started putting together all of these relationships and saw how money was an energy form on the outside that responded to who we were energetically on the inside. And then all of that formed Financially Fit, went into a book, went into a program, the exact process that I use working with clients.
Wow. Wow. So the frequency of how someone feels about themselves is a reflection of the flow of abundance that comes into their life.
Absolutely. It's a direct correlation. And after the last 3-4 years of just working in that paradigm, you're not going to convince me of anything else. I've seen it too many times in every country. Doesn't matter. I've seen it. And that's exactly what happens, because you're changing a feeling that got associated to an event. And when that shifts and changes in the deeper subconscious, it aligns with what you're consciously thinking. So we're aligning the heart set with the mindset, and then you get instant results every time.
Mm-hmm. And because these are coming from the subconscious, more than likely this belief system was created early in their childhood.
Right.
Or early in their life somehow.
4 different categories where these emotions get stuck in the belief system. So we hear all the time, your thoughts create your reality. Change your beliefs, change your life. Well, what's underneath it? Because you can change your thoughts, but if you don't change the frequency feeding the thought isn't going to change. It's like putting the fuel in your car. If you don't put in the right fuel, your car is not going to go very far. So we have to align the feeling, because we're energy beings, to the thought. Mm-hmm. And yes, a lot of it happens in our day-to-day life, where we're born, we grow up, we learn a lot of it energetically before we can even stand and speak. How your parents interacted with money, you absorbed all of that. The other area is in the DNA, because you have your parents' DNA, you have your ancestors' DNA. There's certain beliefs and energies that got encoded in the DNA as well. There's also the history level of things that happened in your environment and the land that preceded you coming. And then there's things that we even learn on a soul level. So at night we dream. And because we dream, we're also learning, because the subconscious never rests. So there's 4 areas where we pick up all of this and we infuse it into our energy body.
Wow. That is a suitcase that is really full of a lot of junk. Yes. Right? We're pulling from all of those.
It's a lot of luggage to carry, so put it down.
Yeah, exactly. And so you take people through a process in order to pull out all that stuff that's in the suitcase, right?
Right. Yes. And here's how it works. I love this question, because people will always say, oh, I'm good. I'm good. So I had a call even earlier today, and I asked them, what's one thing you want to change about your life? She goes, no, I'm good. Everything's perfect. No. There's something you can always improve somewhere. You want something that's a little bit better. So if you can pick anything, what would it be? And she said, maybe that when I speak, I don't have to repeat myself and people understand what I'm saying to begin with. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, and that I can articulate my message. What she was really trying to tell me was she didn't want to answer my question, because she didn't want to find or discover anything in there when I said, this is how it works. So if you're going to refer me to clients, your clients, you need to understand this piece, because this is what I'm going to extract out of them. And I said, okay, so you want to articulate and communicate so people understand your message? And she goes, yes. And I said, how does it feel to you when that does not happen? And she goes, I am so frustrated. And I went, this is in the deep subconscious, the energy in this 90% that's bringing you back more frustration. I said, I understood you don't want to answer my question. I understood that very clearly. But you have to, if you're going to refer me, understand this piece. There is always an emotional component to everything, even when you don't think there is. Mm-hmm. And if it's stress, worry, pressure, anxiety, depression, frustration, anger, I know there's a higher frequency we can infuse that with and attract what you want rather than what you don't want.
Beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Her jaw dropped.
Yeah. And it's just it's the way you ask the question to uncover what's in that deeper subconscious.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what would you say was your most challenging, like a belief system that someone had that was challenging, not on your end of it, but the whole process of them releasing and letting go? Because, we all have these belief systems, these patterns and ways of thinking that are stored away that we don't want them, but we hold on to them really tight, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Is there one that stands out in your mind the most that someone just would not let go of?
There's 2. But they're similar. They connect. So one is people who have Lyme's disease. Because with Lyme's disease, there is a belief system of nothing works for me. Nothing ever works for me. It never works out. So even when they find you to overcome Lyme's disease, it's still programmed. Doesn't work for me. See, I did 3 months. It didn't work for me. See, I worked with you for 6 months. It didn't work for me. So that one's very challenging and very hard and difficult to overcome, or they are so sensitive to the world around them that they can't get on the phone. You have to use a proxy. You have to do all these other things. And you're like, this is just crazy. Obviously, you really want to keep this. You can have it. We don't have to change it. The other one that's a little bit more stubborn is diabetes, because diabetes has 5 emotional components to it, and it's defeat, control, anger, denial, and addiction. And the piece that's the hardest is the denial piece, because they're going to deny everything that you say and that you share because they don't want to receive what that piece is. The addiction part, we think addictions are like alcohol and things of that nature, smoking, true, but addiction can be anything that's keeping you from a path. And with diabetics, they get told, if you don't take this medication, you're going to die. So then they become addicted to the medication, when a lot of it can be reversed with food, nutrition, and exercise. Then there's a difference between type 1 and type 2, but generally speaking, so those are probably the 2 hardest ones, because there's an element of stubbornness that they don't want to give up. So you get selective.
That is fascinating. So you had mentioned a difference with type 1 and type 2. So is type 1, can you also work with type 1?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have, 12, 14 years working with diabetes for different things. And I was almost type 2 myself with that. And then as I was learning this in this process, I reversed, but I did most of mine through diet and nutrition. And it shifted. I did have just a gestational diabetes twice, and I monitored that with food and keeping that in check. So I never had to do medication. Once they were going to put me on insulin, the other time they were going to put me on metformin, and chose not to, but did it through food and was very diligent in that during that time. So yes, you can. Does everybody want to? Depends on the person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So you always have to work with the person of where they're at and get the greatest gain for what they're willing to do. And it's always like peeling off layers of an onion, because you have to go sometimes layer by layer, but you're also putting on petals of a lotus flower, because you're building at the same time, and it's a transition.
Nice. Oh, how beautiful. All right. Well, you have planted a seed in my mind. That's awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. Now I want to shift just a little bit, because my curiosity is up about this when I was reading your website, and you spent a year in a spiritual community.
Yes.
Can you share just a little bit about that?
I actually lived in an ashram, and it was a spiritual living community. It was here in the United States, and I was near the Portland, Oregon area, and it followed the teachings of Ananda. But what I wanted to learn and do was take that year, really get good with meditation, because I had a Buddhist monk once tell me about a walking meditation. And he said he had us get up and he had us walk in a circle and meditate at the same time we were walking. And then he sat us back down and he said, meditation is not something you do, it's something you become. And we went, what? How do you become a meditation? And he said, when you guys were walking in the circle, you were very mindful about where you were, how far you were in front of someone, how far you were behind someone, what was on the side, what was going on out in the street. And he said, this is a metaphor or a way to live your life. And it's not something you do for 10 minutes a day. It's something you become. So it's like becoming the prayer that you prayed. You become it. And when he said that, I was hooked. So I went to the ashram because I wanted to uncover and study meditation, but then I learned about brainwave patterns, and I learned the science, and then I learned the physics behind everything in the healing world. Because if you live in a meditative state, you are living in a different brainwave pattern than the active brainwave patterns. So I'm talking, you're listening, we're all in a beta brainwave, but in those beta brainwaves, if it registers too high, you get the stress, the worry, the pressure, the frustration, the anger. But if you lower those brainwave patterns in a theta brainwave or even an alpha brainwave, you are lowering the frequency, but yet those emotions don't exist. You're in a state of peace, harmony, balance, joy, kindness, because you can't be angry in a theta brainwave pattern because they don't exist in that and everything. So it's a way to live. And if you're living in that state, then you're not creating from those lower emotions. You're going to really attract the good things in your life. Yes. And so that's what I uncovered that whole year I was there. And to find me from all of that other stuff that happened, all of those things have me in common. So there's something about myself I need to look at.
Yeah. Beautiful. What a year to live. That is amazing.
Yeah. You learn a lot about yourself when you're by yourself.
Yes.
I had my 2 children with me. I did their teacher training program. My children went to their school. But it was just the 3 of us, and you learn a lot.
I bet you did. How old were they at the time?
They were 4 and 9. Yeah.
Beautiful being that.
Yeah. And it gave them a really good, strong foundation too, by going to the school, because they would get to the school, they would have yoga, then they would have meditation, they would set the intention for the day, and then they would do their schoolwork. It was a very small school, so there might have been 40 students at the entire school. And so the classrooms were all different ages with different grades. So it was a very good experience because it gave them a foundation and a structure for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I was so curious about that. What a lovely way to spend a year. Yeah. All right. So my next question for you is, what could people, those that are listening now and then watching the replay, what is one thing that they could do now, that nugget, let me let in a little nugget of wisdom that they could take right now to begin transforming a belief system or a pattern, or I don't know, what is your little tip of guidance for them?
So the first thing that I'm going to say is awareness is the key. So be aware of how you are feeling. Set a timer on your phone for it to go off like every 2 hours and 43 minutes, some odd time. And whenever it goes off, you stop whatever it is you're doing just for a few moments. Okay, maybe a few minutes, but you're going to stop and ask yourself, how do I feel? And if you're feeling pretty good, the happiness, the joy, and things are flowing along, just go back to what you're doing. But if you're starting to feel stress or worry or frustration, and you're thinking, I have 7 more things to do, and I still have to get through this task, this is where you're going to take that mental break. Set a timer for 3 or 4 minutes. And if you're feeling, say, stress or whatever your word is, when you breathe out, you're breathing out all the toxins and the carbon dioxide the body doesn't need. So when you breathe out, you're going to think the word stress. And then think about the word that you want to receive. Might be peace or calmness. So when we breathe in, we're breathing in all of the oxygen, all of the good things that the body needs. So you're going to breathe in the word peace. So you breathe in peace, breathe out stress. And I close my eyes, I just say peace, stress, and I regulate my breathing. When the timer goes off, I'm pretty good in a deep meditation, because when you do that and you focus a sense, it drops you into those alpha and theta brainwaves. When it goes off, you just stop, regain yourself, go back to whatever it was you're doing. You're going to have a physiological change in your body. You're going to have more focus, clarity, and balance when you do this. And when you get back to your task, it's just going to flow through seamlessly, and you're probably going to get done a little bit sooner because we don't have these other energies in that subconscious going anger, frustration, defeat, no, stop, stress, worry, because that doesn't exist because you can focus because you altered your brainwave patterns. So that's one thing everybody can do, and do it a couple of times a day and catch yourself. You might be surprised.
Great tip. Love that. Yes. My sensei in Qigong, he does the breathe in love, breathe out, and he'll change the word up or whatever. Yep. And and it's beautiful because we get in that rhythmic breath while we're there and standing meditation. And talking through. That is such a beautiful thing. I love the way that you are saying, though, stop and ask, how do I feel? Check in with you.
Yes, inside.
What is going on in here? All right. And then being honest with yourself. I think a lot of times we're not honest, though, Dawna, are we? We'll go, oh, yeah, because what I have found with clients is that it's the stopping point of it. They'll ask the question, but to really stop and pause, and to allow themselves to feel, it's almost like they're afraid to feel whatever is in there, right? That is the stress. Right. Because we don't want that to exist. We want to be happy and joyful.
Right. But you only have to identify the feeling. You don't have to stay in the feeling. So if you feel the stress or the worry or the defeat, oh, I feel this. Okay. Breathing exercise, and it'll flip you right back out. How would I rather feel? So you don't have to feel it. You only have to identify it. But what you're doing is you're creating the awareness of how you feel. And so for me, I do mental check-ins with myself throughout the day, all day long, to see how I feel. I get ready. I have to write an article. It's due February 1st for a magazine. And I went to go write it last night. And I pulled out my computer. I was sitting in my bedroom on my bed. I was going to write it so I can sit next to my guy while he's watching TV. So I'm spending time with him while focused, because sometimes I have to work late. And I opened up the computer and I sat there and I went, title. And it's the emotional side of money. Money is emotional. It's the title of it. And then I have my tagline, and I sat there for like 2 minutes and I went, I feel really tired and I can't focus. Close the computer, put it down. I think I'll just watch 20 minutes of TV and go to sleep. Still haven't written my article. I'm going to do it tomorrow when I get up, because I can focus. So you just have to do those mental check-ins. Could I have written the article? Yes, but I would have been really tired. And then I would have created other energies that were not going to be beneficial for me. And then I probably wouldn't have gotten a good night's sleep and, because it just creates the ball rolling in the wrong direction.
It does. Yes. And then it ends up taking longer because we're not in the right mind space. We're not in the heart-centered space. So yeah, it takes longer. Whereas I bet when you woke up the next day and got it done, you got it written in no time flat.
It's just done. So
it's done. Awesome. Beautiful. Well, are you ready to open it up for some Q&A?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it.
Would y'all have any questions that you would love to ask Dawna? Anybody? Don't be shy now, girls.
I'm pretty much an open book. I'll answer anything.
No, I'm not shy, Ashley.
No, we know
I really don't have any questions. I just want to say I love it all. I loved the mantra. Thank you for sharing that. And our group with Ashley and our Armor Up, we've been taught this, like Ashley goes, so everything always goes together, right? I mean, we've been talking about the river of frequency and being that. And yesterday, Ashley did a Facebook Live for us that was so helpful. And like, then this just like goes right along with it. And one of my big words for this year is abundance, and how I really truly believe in that. And this is it, that it's all coming to me. So I just loved everything about it. Thank you very much. It was like such good tips and reminders and information. So
yes, you are welcome. And I see your comment. It's be the river of frequency. And that is the truth. Be it.
Be it. Don't be in it. You have
be it.
So when you were talking about the meditation and the walking in a circle, I was like, ooh. And I really like the tip of setting a random, like 2 hours and 43 minutes, not 2 hours, but
exactly. Make it random and change it.
I wish I had done that. I wish I had done that today, but that's okay. I'm going to
tomorrow
do it.
New beginning. Yeah. Perfect.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you. Oh, Sabrina has a question in the chat, Ashley.
Awesome. All right. How would you say it is the best way to bring a spouse into the same frequency when we have many talks together for our family and where we will be heading going forward, especially when our past conversations have often come from a place of lack versus abundance?
So what is the best way to be in the same frequency? What I would do if I was in that situation was first see what it is are your money goals and where it is that you want to be in the future. And why are we looking at our future money goals from a place of lack? So is it something now that needs to be done or spent? Or is it something that you want to save for the future? Or so uncover what's in those goals and have that honest conversation. But you can ask these words. How do you truly feel when you're in the conversation? How does this really feel if you're in a place of lack? Because that's going to bring up the emotion or the feeling that needs to release so you can be in the same perspective or the same frequency. So how do you feel if it's lack? Are you the one in lack, or is it the spouse that's in lack? And is one in an abundant mindset and one is in a lack mindset? And how do you meet in the middle? You have to bring up, what is the lack doing? And what is the other person receiving, or maybe you, from that lack? What does it give you? Our negative feelings and beliefs always return to us something good and positive. We just don't always realize what that is. And if it's always coming from a place of less than or lack, the person probably doesn't feel whole. They probably don't feel worthy. They don't probably feel like they're enough. They'd probably feel like they're less than because they're in a lack energy. And if you know they are in a lack energy, then you can turn the table and feed them the emotions that they need, because they probably didn't get them when they were a child, energetically, and you can send them the mind thought that they need love, that they need wholeness, that they need abundance, whatever those words are, and they will start shifting and changing because you're in a shared energy field. And so we can give it to them energetically. So if it was me and my guy, and he's in a lack mindset, for example, and I'm in this abundant mindset, and we can't spend money because of XYZ. Well, I know when you're in that lack energy, what does he need from me to feel good about himself? Because it's never about money, never. And can I send that to him energetically? So it's a very proactive process. And then, okay, he needs to feel love. He needs to feel kindness. He needs to feel like he's heard. So maybe I just sit there and listen and I don't say anything and affirm whatever his belief system is. And he shifts out of it and aligns with me. And we move forward with the abundance mindset. So it's a little bit of a process to do that. But if it's a repeated pattern, there's something that needs to change in that person. And if you can uncover what it is that they need, send it to them energetically, they'll start to shift.
Okay, so you said affirm their how they feel, their lack mindset, so to speak. So
right.
What is
so
like?
It would look like this. Do you want to role play with me, Ashley?
I would love to.
So you're in a lack mindset. I'm in an abundant mindset. So tell me something that indicates that you're in a lack mindset.
I can't afford it.
Okay.
We can't afford it.
All right. So Ashley, what makes you believe that we can't afford this?
The money is not visible. It's not there in the account.
Okay. So I need to understand what that feels like for you. Mm-hmm. So I would ask you, so how does it feel not being able to see the money visible in the account? What does that feel like to you?
It feels frustrating.
Frustrating. So then I can start mentally asking myself, what do you need to feel? We don't want you to feel frustrated. We want you to feel something different. So how would you rather feel about the money in the account?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. So I know I just asked you, you wanted to feel peace and not frustration. Mm-hmm. So I can start sending you, without knowing the whole process, I can just start saying, well, Ashley needs peace. I wonder why she needs peace. Is this something, I can go down some deep rabbit holes to where this all got started and where it got encoded, but I could stay in a peaceful state. I can stay in a calmness state and send that to you just by thinking the word peace, for you to start feeling peace instead of frustration. And you can continue the conversation, but you stay in that peaceful state. The other person will pick up on it because you're in a shared energy field. They join because you have an energy field around you. They have an energy field around them. And then together it creates a third energy field. Well, because you guys are intimately tied together with a spouse and you share in DNA, when I change my energy to the quality that you need, just by thinking the word, they pick up on it in the shared energy field and it'll start shifting and changing them.
Beautiful.
So that's a way you can just ask questions. Sometimes they don't want to answer the question, but stay focused on, well, really, how does that feel? Because I'm a different person. I don't know. So tell me. And just listen. And I would bet money on this. It's never about the topic of money. It goes back to something different, or maybe it was something that happened earlier in the day, but they will sit there and regurgitate everything that tied to their frustration for the day. And maybe they just need to be heard. So
beautiful. Beautiful. Very helpful. Yes, Sabrina, very helpful.
Yeah, thank you. It's so simple, but it blew my mind, quite honestly, right now. Just the simple question, how does that make you feel? And it actually started to make me think about how it would probably be a good idea for me to reread, because it's been a long time, the love language book.
Yeah.
You know, because I think sometimes our love languages might shift with seasons of life, marriage, and like, okay, what can I give this person? I wasn't even thinking about the giving part, which sounds selfish, but I wasn't. I was like, you know, what can I do to make that person change? Like they need to change versus what I can give. Yeah. Thank you.
So, and this was a process that I did just last night. My guy, he was just diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, knows what I do for a living. He knows he has to ask, because I'm just not going to go and shift things, change things, or anything like that. And I hint and I volunteer and I say, you know, we can work on this and we can do it like this, or we can. And he knows, hands down, he knows, but he can't bring himself to do it. But last night he had his moment and I just sat there and I just asked myself, what does he need for him? I've been working all day. He hasn't been able to express himself. He wasn't able to connect with one of his friends. So I'm in the garage, sitting on the stool, just listening to him. That's all he wanted. And he like rambled on to like 50 other things. I didn't comment or anything. Yes, okay, I understand. Things like that. Walked over, gave him a hug. Still love you. We'll work through this. Didn't offer any advice. Didn't say I could assist or help. Snapped out of it. Totally fine.
Wow.
That's all I had to do was sit and listen. That's all he needed. So yes.
Wow. Powerful.
Thank you.
Yes.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes, Carrie.
Yes,
Well,
I love what you guys are saying, because I know it is our mind that triggers us. I've overcome a lot of adversity in my life. I was a top realtor, then I got Crohn's and just about died. And then met a beautiful man, and between the love and our relationship, I went into remission, and then he was tragically killed. And then I nearly died. And then I found my way back through alternative health and seen a lot of physios and people and became a better person. It was very, very cool. And then unfortunately, due to the car accident where somebody hit me and I nearly died, I nearly lost my house. First, I overcame and walked where I was supposed to be in a wheelchair, but now the financial debt was huge. And gonna lose my house, but I didn't. Like every time I make it back, right? And so fast forwarding now, I'm doing well, like peaceful and all that kind of stuff. But when you guys are talking about mindset, I have to do my income tax, and anything financial, I freeze. I come up with every excuse you can imagine. I heard myself now saying, there's only 10% analytical in me. I can't do this. But I know you're right. It triggers back to my loss and everything. And I go almost like post-traumatic again, right?
Right.
And so would I just sit down and go, oh, how are you feeling? And, you know, because it is. And then I'm just, hours are gone and, oh, I guess I'm not doing my taxes today, right?
Yeah. The second question that you can also ask yourself, in addition to how am I feeling, is what am I learning from this?
Okay.
So you've had, I don't know, 5 different times where you almost died, but you didn't, and you're still here.
I know.
What are you learning from that?
What?
Because you could have chosen to go to the other side,
Yeah.
but you didn't. You're still here. So that tells me you have a reason, you have a purpose, you have a divine timing, because death is a divine timing moment and you didn't take them. You had all of these death doors, you didn't go through it. So you signed up for more to learn more things. And what I'm going to say is you're still here and you're still living. So that tells me automatically that you are worthy to live this life, and you are worthy to live this life abundantly and prosperously. And that's all things, not just money. It's not just financial. Abundance and prosperity is all things in life. And you are worthy to live this life in the way that you choose. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So that's the other question.
Yeah, because I realize when people say, so I kind of, once I got better from the accident and didn't lose my house, been working, and I kind of lost 10 years because I've always had goals and big things happen. And so I think I just kind of went into, let's just have normal, you know. And
but you didn't really lose anything either.
No.
Because when we lose something, like we lost our keys to the car, we look for them until we find them. If we lose our, purse, we look for it until we find it. It works the same way if we're trying to lose weight. We usually find more. So just release weight, don't lose it. But you didn't lose 10 years. You gained so much more.
Okay, thanks. That was, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so we think we lost something. We have to go find it. You found yourself in so many different ways. So maybe journal and write down some of the different things that you've learned about yourself. I bet you might be surprised.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Carrie, for asking that. That is beautiful. Wow.
I have a question.
New year, so I want to get going. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you, Carrie. Who did I hear that from? Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hi. Okay. So I'm sitting in this course and I'm getting angrier and angrier. I literally am seething. And I'm wondering, Dawna, are you actually married right now?
I'm in a very committed relationship. We live together. We have accounts together. We are not formally married in the eyes of the state, but common law in Montana says we are.
Okay. You're in Montana.
I'm in Montana.
Awesome. Okay. So I have been married for over 40 years. And I'm feeling, listening to this, and I'm going to just call it what I'm feeling. And it's perfect. Like fluff. And I'm feeling extremely agitated. Today, 3 different times, my husband and I work together. We have 3 different businesses. And twice we sat down at the table to discuss some things. We've been married forever. We had 8 children. We just had our 25th grandchild. We are like, we know each other. And it ended for the second time in one day in a scream fest where we both walked away from each other. Now, I can't even begin to think that I'm going to sit there and go, oh, so how does that feel?
Right. So
help me out with that one.
Yeah. So anger is one of the 5 emotions that tells us that we are human. And anger is saying, I'm not able to recognize love in the moment, so something needs to change. So you have love with this person, But in those moments, you're not feeling the love, and it needs to change so you can feel the love.
Feel the love. We're just trying to make some decisions.
I know.
I have to put my gun away.
I love it. So yeah, it's recognizing something about that situation needs to change. So for you, what needed to change about that situation for you today? Because you guys did it twice. So something in that communication needed to change. So what was that for you?
We both are coming to the table with some ideas, and neither one of us are willing to back down. And we just have some issues. And this has been going on for like 2 weeks straight on some really important stuff. And each day we start all over, and it ends with the same type of bloody mess.
Right. So some of the things are there, they're triggered. It stems back to prior events of different things. This is just like the icing of the cake or the tip of the iceberg when you drill down to see. Now, obviously, you're not going to ask in that situation how they feel or how you feel, because it's already apparent you're angry. You can skip that question, but you can start asking yourself, what do I need? What does he need? Because you're not feeling heard, he's not feeling heard, and neither one of you are listening to each other. And then when you do listen, you don't want to bend to the other person to have that flexibility. It's every situation is never either or, either this or that. There is a third center point. Now we come here on this plane to learn through duality, hot, cold, left, right, up, down. And we learn these things. We learn that if we touch a hot stove, we're going to get burned. We know that if we go out in the snow, it's going to be cold. But there's also a third center point. Hot, cold, there's warm. Left, right, a center, up, down, a middle. Black, white, gray. So what is a common ground? You have an energy field, they have an energy field, the common ground, the shared energy field. What are some of the things in the common energy field or in the common answers that you are giving to what you want, where you can start agreeing on points to move yourself forward so you don't get stuck in the he said, she said, we'll just be pissed off and angry at each other all day. So are there points that you do agree on, however minor they are? Start putting those on a piece of paper, and the rest of the solutions are going to come into existence for you. It may not be what it looks like for you. It may not be what it looks like for him, but it might be something shared in that. So take a moment when anger arises, say, I need a few minutes. You can leave the room and come back, do the breathing with more clarity and focus, and start asking, where's the common ground between us? And where do we find the love back that we both had? Because the anger's not serving you. And the anger is just saying something needs to change. We want him to change to agree with us, and he wants you to change to agree with him. If it's been going on for weeks, there's got to be a common ground somewhere. So start looking at a third alternative. And I don't know what your business is and all of that, but there's some common ground, I'm being told.
I'll look for that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Great. Yeah. Those arguments around the table are not fun, around businesses and finances and stuff. Those can create quite a disruption. But that was so cool how you brought in that, Dawna, about anger. I'm not recognizing love in the moment. That is huge. I mean, if we're in any conversation with anyone and they're getting angry, right then we can just go, oh, wait, they're not seeing love. They're not recognize it right now. What can I do? Like you said on the other thing, what can I do to send them what they're needing to see right now while they're angry?
Right. And what do you need for yourself so you don't get pulled into their anger? There's a shared energy field. They're putting in anger. And if you match that, you're going to get nothing but anger. But if they're putting in anger and you're putting in something higher, frequency wise, love, or maybe it's peace, maybe it's kindness, maybe it's just balance or something, anything higher than the anger, you start rising above. And if you don't match here, this person has no choice but to start raising themselves up here to match you. And then you might have to stair step it. And that's the role, that's the job of a healer if you're working on energy and frequency. Because if your client is here and you match right here, you're not healing anything. But if you stay here and you bring them up, and you don't even have to bring them up all the way to where you are, maybe even halfway, then we're doing our job.
That's right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And you saying that about frequency leads us to Amy's question in the deal. Is there a frequency of abundance? And I noticed you have these beautiful heart rocks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with frequency. And I do believe it said frequency of abundance on it, maybe. But
right. So what they're programmed with, and let me see if I have one. I know what you're talking about. I may not have one right here on my desk. I have these little green heart stones. They're little crystal stones, and I infuse them with the frequency. What I infuse them with is a frequency of 528. It's a pure, unconditional love, raw, pure energy before it comes anything into the universe. And then I ask for the frequencies of happiness, prosperity, and love to go into the rock. And I hold it in my hand and I allow the frequencies to infuse it. And then whatever else the client needs in it. And so it's for health, wealth, and relationships. So when I give it to the other person, it activates to the other person in their energy field. So if you use it, you hold it, you meditate, it will automatically bring to you what it is that you need because we put those frequencies inside. Is there a specific frequency of abundance? There is. There's a frequency for every emotion out there. I learned that just by saying the words abundance and prosperity, love, happiness, because I'm tuned to what those frequencies are, it just automatically happens to go into it. But one of the things that you can look up is what's called the Saflago frequencies. I can't pronounce the first word. Ancient monks in the 1600s chanted with these frequencies with the beautiful music without the instruments. And there's like 9 different sets of frequencies, and all of them add up to 9. So there's like 528. If you added up 528, 14, 15, 16, it adds up to a 3, 6, or a 9, which goes back to the Fibonacci sequence of all of it. So all the frequencies add up to a 3 or a 6 or a 9 when you add the numbers together. The lower frequencies release things like the stress, the worry, ill health, all of that. And then the higher frequencies are really about manifesting and creating. It doesn't specifically say abundance is this particular one, but you can find the ones that you match with. And I record meditations from time to time. They're on my website. They're also on my YouTube channel, but the music that plays behind it matches. So there's one on about being worthy of love. So it's a frequency of 528 of the music that's behind my voice. There's one about manifesting and creating. And when you do that one, it's to a frequency of 963 because it opens up the crown chakra to receive for that as well. So you can look up those sets of different frequencies and match which one feels best, because if you're in that state of happiness, you're going to attract abundance and prosperity to you all the time. You can even look on Spotify. I know you can type in Saflago frequencies and you'll have lists and lists and lists of the different music. You can play it in the background while you're working, and it will infuse your house, your home, and all of that with it. How do you get one of those heart stones? Let me do this. Let me double check on my website here, because I used to give these out every time I spoke. And then everything went virtual the last couple of years. And so I'm just making sure I have the right, and with it being virtual, there it goes. I'll just give you guys this link. You might get one that is not green. Green is the color of my logo. It is a theta symbol with a heart, only because I can't get the adventuring hearts in because they come from China and things are still in back order a year and a half later. But I do have other heart stones. I can do the same thing. So if there's a particular color you like, you can maybe put it in the notes section. But you can use that link. You can order one. I only charge for shipping, but I'll infuse it and send it to you as a gift.
Oh, how beautiful. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dawna.
There's a little write-up about it and how it works when you live
you.
it out.
I'm so excited about that. Thank you.
Yeah, they're fun. I love them. I usually have one on my desk, but I have a cat and she knocks it off and plays with it, and then they get lost in the room.
Fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I ask a question? Do we still have time?
go for it, girl. Hi,
Okay,
Kelly.
sorry. Hi, sorry, y'all. I'm like putting a baby to bed and all that stuff. It's not a baby anymore, but anyway. So I was listening to your response to the question about the like the marital thing, and I can't remember exactly at what point you were talking about when you enter into like the stressful low frequency with a higher frequency, then it brings the energy up.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but relate that actually to parenting and how, you know, my kids will be throwing fits and that sort of thing. And then I have to decide as a parent, like how I'm going to engage in that and turn it around and all of that. And so I'm wondering if you have, I mean, I don't know what time we're supposed to be done, but could you talk about that like in relation to parenting? I have my own like ideas, but I'd love to hear from you. Like how do you relate that to like those kinds of stressful situations with your kids?
The best piece of advice that I can say, and I learned this when I lived at the ashram and my children were at their school and I did their teacher training program. And this is what they trained us to do. When the child is going into whatever energy it's going into, when you say as a parent and match it, you make me so angry, you make me so mad, you make me, what happens to the child's subconscious is they go, oh, what else can I make you do? How many more buttons do you have? And how many more can I push? And they start doing that every single time. So they say, don't say that phrase, you make me, because what happens is when you say you make me so angry, is you are giving your power and control of how you are choosing to feel to another person. A child who's like 3. No, you're the parent. So instead of saying that, you identify how you feel, and then you just acknowledge the child and say, you know, I can see that you are upset about this. And then you can change the energy from there. And then it goes back into asking some of those other questions. And if you do it from an early age and you don't give them your power or control, they come out of that. What I did with my youngest, who's now almost 11, when she would go into her moments and I had older children, I would just look at her and I'm like, I think you just need to go hang out in your room by yourself until you're ready to change your energy. And she would get so mad and leave. And she knew that she had to go to her room and sit on her bed and think about the energy she was putting out. And then she would come out, okay, I'm better, I'm fine, I worked through it. And she did. She did that often. And then pretty soon, whenever she'd get frustrated, I have to go put myself in a timeout. I wasn't putting her in a timeout. That wasn't that she had to sit or anything. I'm like, we just don't want to be around this if you couldn't get it out. And then she would just sit and work through it in herself, in her mind, to have that space to take it for her. And to this day, she'll do the same thing, but very rarely does she go into those energies. And, but the key is don't match the child. Don't tell them that, like, you make me so, whatever it is, because they're going to keep doing it. Right. Keep your power, keep your control, ask them how they feel, or I can see you're upset about this, and you can uncover what their need is, because the emotional response is trying to uncover a need, and it's a negative attention seeking pattern to get their needs met. Maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they just need a glass of water. Maybe they just need to sit next to you for 2 minutes. And when their need is fulfilled, that leaves.
I love that. And that's a common thing we do in our home, where if your energy is dragging everyone else down, then we remove ourselves to our room and have some calm down time. But I've never said, to check in. I've never used the word energy to talk about that. It's usually just once you've settled down or stopped crying, then you can come back. So I like maybe using that word, because then it's like this self-reflective opportunity, not just a calm down moment,
Right.
So then they're learning how to recognize what's going on, so that the self-soothing then makes sense.
Right. And then when they come back, you can ask them, how do you feel? You can identify, or have them identify what those are, and they can start putting words to what they felt, so they know how to shift it for themselves as they grow.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful.
I'm sorry I was late. I'm excited to watch back the beginning.
We'll make sure you get that replay. Make sure of it. All right. Dawna, thank you. Thank you. What a treat tonight.
This was so much fun. I could sit here for 3 more hours and do this, but I can't. I have another live event in half an hour, but I love this. You guys are so amazing.
It's so fun. It is a great group of women. Yes, our Armor Up group is awesome. Yeah, beautiful. So happy that we could all come together. Thank you, Dawna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dawna.
Everyone, thanks for being here, and we will see you the next time we have a podcast. All right. Good night, everybody.